the lamb. Anyway, so if you take the people, you got to watch how they try to malign our people in history. Everything they do about black people in the movement is a little malign, even when they pretending like they're trying to help. So if we see something on what's the name that got killed? Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, it'll be shifted a little bit. When you see Aretha Franklin's story and her father is in it, they're giving you a picture of a hustler that drank, well, because it's just drank a little bit in there. But he was the biggest preacher, see, before King, and King related to him all the time, you know what I mean? He was the biggest preacher as far as the North is concerned. Aretha's father was big. I mean, real big. He was the biggest. And so, the new picture that they try to give, they'll give a picture of Aretha Franklin as a queen of soul, right, and what she went through, and they'll make her father look like just a runaround, you know, a drunkard. And no, he had the voice or the ear of all. Well, not as much out in the West, but well, for the preachers, everybody was listening to him. Everybody was listening to him, and everybody was incorporating. You could go to any church and you was going to get a certain style, but what I'm trying to bring today is that that collective passage that we all went through. Okay, the passage out of the three stages, if we take the old Negro stage, if we take the black nationalist stage, and we take the Islamic stage, everybody else deal with two stages. They deal with the black nationalists and freedom riders and all that, and then they jump to Islam. So they don't have no continuity. But we go back, like I was saying to everybody else's champion was Muhammad Ali, but mine was Jack Johnson, because that's all my parents talked about, and all they Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson went down, man went down to get him a cup of coffee and some eggs, and he said, I want some coffee black as Jack Johnson and eggs beat up like Jim Jeffries. Of course, they killed him. You know. But that stuff is actually true. So the thing that I'm trying to impress is what we're actually doing. Because the Negroes over in Baltimore is whining about people don't like us, something like that. I don't know, I forgot what you remember the article. All the imams. Yeah, the conference they had over there. They was actually feel deprived. I'm sorry. I haven't never felt anything like that. And even all of the stuff comes back because like it say, I'm going through, like personally. But that, to me, it means the people is going through, no matter what everybody else do, right? And that's the way we have to be here. You have to be that way because, number one, they're going to cut you off, isolate you, and you got to have that old character. that you've been hearing all the time. And that's why it's not a chance of me feeling depressed and oppressed and not liked, as if somebody would care. Because go ahead.
Do you remember the shootout that they had at this church?
At CL at Franklin's church? No, I don't remember who.
This is part of this exactly fits what you're talking about.
Police shootout March 29, 1969. Okay, what had happened to it there? Okay. March 29th, the church was rented by the Republic of New Africa as the site of a black separatist convention. A shootout between police and members of the movement resulted in the death of a police officer. Police raided the church and arrested 150 people in attendance. A controversy followed after the attendees were held and questioned without counsel. During the incident, police fired into the church, causing extensive damage and resulting in the need for financing to repair the bullet-scarred building. In May 1969, as the controversy over the police raid and shooting continued, Reverend Franklin was arrested by the Detroit police, who claimed that they found marijuana in his luggage. Franklin denied the charge, wondered if the incident was connected to the church shooting, and asserted, "Somebody wants to disgrace me." Police had held the luggage for 24 hours, and Reverend Franklin claimed he had never in his life smoked marijuana. The charge was dismissed 1 month later on official evidence. Is this part of it down here about the shootout? Reverend Franklin's shooting?
I think that's another incident. In
1974, 2 gunshots were fired into the church during a service conducted by Reverend Franklin. 2 attendees were wounded. In June 1979, Reverend Franklin was shot twice by burglars at his home in Detroit. The government didn't like him because he's stumbling up on, he getting a dope case. Of course, now he drank, but he might not have smoked no weed, but they find plenty of weed, and there's too many shootouts at his church. For a church, it's a church. Of course, he housed in the Republic of New Africa. I mean, they having a meeting there. That don't. But the Republic of New Africa, Chokwe Lumumba and them been down, or his son, they down in Mississippi. They've been down there. Chokwe was the mayor of Mississippi, and his son is now the mayor. Okay. Well, okay, I got the point.
Right.
No, look. I'm telling, look, believers. How can everybody that's trying to do something, and you can hear from all of his teachings, he's throwing down, and he getting all them cases, and a man of the cloth. Sure, if they would have busted him on adultery or something, drinking too much and partying, arrested the piano players at his house, you know what I mean, and stuff. A lot of people don't even know that Aretha Franklin had 2 children. She got too old. They must be up in their 60s now, 50s. And hardly nobody knew it. They just kept it quiet. But anyway, the point I'm making is continuity. continuity. When we talk about the old ship of Zion, it's in modern times. It's in modern times, and this time when we start talking about it, when we start really nailing the Muslims understood it, but when we started dealing with Christian population, that was years later. That was years later. Why? Because all the people, when you mention Zionism, they remember, that's what they're thinking about. When you're talking about the crossing over, the river and everything and the burning bush, you're talking about Moses, and that's something to them, that means in the old days, crossing the Jordan River meant that you're going into the promised land. Now, Moses, according to the Bible, he didn't go into the promised land. He didn't go, according to the Bible, that he stayed over on the other side. And they went over, finally, after 40 years, they went over into the promised land. So we look at the Bible, and all of our teachings was basically totally different from the white church. They would say the most segregated time in America is on Sunday morning. It is. The whole rhythm. Can you imagine standing in church singing the hymnals? Them hymnals? No. Got to remember, when you went to church, you could hear it. The people getting the Holy Ghost. The people have been oppressed all week long. And you know it and they know it. It was therapy. It was psychological release. Some of them people was really hollering and shouting, and they was, the preacher had the ability to bring all of what's in them out. And it wasn't that lady the one just hollering, but everybody else, they all of what the suffering, the oppression, why you think black people always said, hey, man, what's going on? That's all, we call each other man. Hey, man, what's going on? Because the white man always was calling us boy. Always. Never a man. Hey, you're a man. No, he didn't do that. So we called each other. That's what we may not even call you by your name. Hey, man, what's going on? Hey, person, you're a man. You're a human being. You know what I mean? With individuality, with purpose, with character. You somebody, as they used to say. All right. So the mission that we have right here, people may not understand how we just cruise right along, how nobody's there. They won't talk to you. Excuse the French. To hell with them. Who cares about them? Right? If you remember, you mean you gonna sit here while your people went through all of that and they held on with a thread. They did, hey man. And we're gonna sit here with the little old stuff. Oh, you got brutalized. I wasn't brutalized. The nigga hit me upside the head a few times, and that was so what? That's the way I looked at it. And remember, I had to tell my sons, you just have to mind your own business, because we got a reason for doing what we're doing. They wouldn't understand it. They couldn't understand it. Why? Because there's no continuity. Life starts for them when they, you know what I mean, when they was a few years old running around at their mama's house. That's when life starts for them. It didn't start like that for me. It was always way back sitting around. And that's why I remember, in 56, when I went back you know, and me and my brother, I was 12. I tried to pick a little cotton so that he was a few years old. We walked down one row and we had our 49er jackets on and you know, everybody used to call us California when it was in Arkansas because we was just sharp, you know what I mean? They was from Arkansas. You know, they was country folks and we was like celebrities, you know. And so I go one down one row and come back. The little old bag I took to the thing, they'd have a scale where you'd weigh the cotton. I didn't care. I said, hey, man, this ain't no fun here. So I have picked cotton before, but I wanted to pick cotton because when I was there, I was 6 years old. So to me, everything in the country was fun. You know, I'd